Hello everybody, it's Professor Sabrina Kizzy. I'm the social media marketing professor here at Baruch College, and I am super excited for this class this evening. You guys can't see, but I have a whole classroom full of exciting social media students, and today we're going to learn about Periscope. So I have the unique honor and privilege to have Africa Miranda here live in class today, and I'm going to give you a short introduction about her. So, I mean, what can I say about her? There's so many wonderful things. She the Bravo show New Atlanta, and she was a brand that particular show, and now she is a star in the tech world and the live stream world. I had the unique opportunity to meet her in person, host a Periscope Summit took place right here in New York City. She also was the keynote for the Periscope Summit in San Francisco. And on top of all of that, she's been nominated for a Shorty in the category of Periscoper of the Year. So that is huge, guys. And I don't know if you know, first time the Shorty Awards ever had a category of Periscope. So this is huge. To throw in a little hint, there's still time to vote for her. Nominations end this evening, and they'll let people know who the winner is in maybe a day or so. That being said, please, guys, let's give us for our guest lecturer and speaker today.
This is the beauty of Periscope. I'm scoping while I'm doing this, so a lot of people are saying, hey, from all over the world. We have people already on from Australia, people everywhere from Turkey to literally Africa to France, so, and honestly all over the country. So we have a whole night. So I'm going to set up on my tripod and we'll kind of get and we're going to keep it kind of casual. I wanted to walk you guys through some of the basics of, what the app is. It's great to kind of talk about philosophically about how I feel in my life and all of those great things. But I also feel like if you don't know how to actually what happens when you use it, you can't get to that the life-changing space if you don't even know the basics and then work through there. But if you have questions, we'll keep put your hand up or just say hey and we'll go from there. So let me get myself situated and we'll go. So we should be good. So something you'll learn about, there's always like a process of trying to show yourself and show what's happening and capture everything. So we're good. So March 20th is going to be the birthday for a lot of people that love. Over a year ago, well, almost a year ago, was created. And I found out about it. My Twitter feed was scrolling through and a sponsor said, hey, here's Periscope live stream. Honestly didn't know what it was. Downloaded the app, got on, and I was just like, okay, what is this? Watching people going about their day. At that point, there were people on the app, and I just kind of did something known by many Periscopers as a walk and talk. I'd just be in my neighborhood, just kind of, and that was really how it started for me. But again, I didn't know what it could mean. I didn't understand why hearts were on the screen, understand how to follow people. I didn't know that you could block crazy people. I feel like let's start with, as I said, just what the app is. Now, how many of you all have already downloaded? Okay, good. This is good. Got a bit like nobody. So I'm glad that first of all on our phones. The next piece, have you guys, at this point, do you feel how to create the proper username? You understand what the hearts mean? Like what are some you got on the app that you didn't get? I'm curious what has that been for you? So I'll start with the hearts because the hearts were like this big point first 2 months of Periscope because it was this whole thing of that's how you give likes. But unlike in time and that's it, but with Periscope it's a continuous stream. And there's debate about what they mean or if they're really worth anything, but in love, and if you're enjoying someone's broadcast. And the way that get all the hearts on the screen, all the hearts are different colors. Actually, what we can do now to make this easier, maybe make a little, if you guys already log on, go to periscope.me/Africa Miranda, what's happening as we're going through it now. And that way we don't get the feedback of what's going on. I'm gonna check my, okay, good, you guys can see me here, perfect. What you'll notice is though there should be hearts going up the screen, and guys, if you at home, you can be part of this presentation. Just kind of as you all are commenting, you'll notice that you comment in a broadcast, your avatar is part of your comment, but every person is just by random given a different color from brown, pink, green, and when you literally physically screen on your phone, you can't do it on the computer, but as the different users that are commenting and tapping the screen, the color of their heart is the color of their avatar. What's your question?
Oh, no. I have to do the heart.
Yes, and that's it. To literally give hearts, you literally just, and again, you can only do this on your phone, you're watching on the computer, but you can also do it on the rebroadcast. Comment on a rebroadcast, but you can tap the screen to give. And so initially they were keeping the heart 500 per person, and then if you wanted to log out, you give more. So that's why I said there was always when Periscope first started, because it was this whole thing of hearts. There was a most loved list. Periscope with that list, but I still like the hearts as a way of doing a broadcast, and it's a way that if you're on screen, people are into what you're talking about, or if it makes sense, or if they're enjoying it. So, those are the basics. The next point if I'm sure at this point you've created your username and your password. One thing, and we'll get into this a little later, but this is something to think about as scopes and use, use social media in general. And I'm sure, Sabrina told you about this, is that, your username in this world is your business card. It should find you. It should have something to do with whatever it is that you plan to promote. For myself, I am my brand. So everywhere you'll find me on social media is Africa Miranda. You know that's me on Periscope. If you type it in, I'm what's going to pop up. So something to think about as you start to build platforms. Think of finding them if you don't want to use your own name, but that makes sense to be something that you can have platforms, because it would be hard to find you and say your black sweater, but then on Twitter you're a green shirt, but then you're a brown shirt on Facebook. It's very hard for people to find you, and you want them to then experience throughout social media. Periscope, because it's a visual medium, it should be able to see you and make sense. Next, there's a little buttons. If you look at phones, those of you that have your phones, you can go walk your don't. You can just make this for later. The next and most important broadcast, is as a viewer or even as you're, is that when you're about to start your broadcast, you want to make sure the icon for Twitter is highlighted, because that means that automatically you're broadcast. And what's great now that when Periscope first did, it would just be a link, but now Twitter added the Periscope broadcast in your Twitter feed. Notice that if you're scrolling through people's feeds now, you'll see the live video almost is now. So you definitely want to always make sure to Twitter. I know some have been like, oh, I don't want to, but the whole point of this is if you're going to do it and put yourself out there on this platform, you want viewers and you want people to see it. So the first way to guarantee that you're sharing it to Twitter, but that also to have a Twitter profile. And it does give you the option when you sign up to just sign up with your phone number. I mean that if you do not have a Twitter account, sign up for one and start your way to build, across those two communities. This piece that's going to be on the screen is a little arrow button. That's your location. My location on. I know some people say that no one will ever be able to pinpoint where you are. The point for me of sharing my location shows up on the map on the globe of where you are, because that if you look at the map icon on Periscope, you can literally look all over the world live. I can go on now and see if there are people live, and actually we can look on my iPod. Like if I go to Periscope now, see, give you numbers. It'll show maybe there's 20 people, there's 30. So you can literally see where people are. And that's really the point of showing your location. There are people in other countries that are curious about live. And you may think that you're doing something just as much in your neighborhood, but never been to Paris. How amazing me to see you walk through your neighborhood and show your day. I had people that would hang with me in Brooklyn because they heard about Brooklyn. And for them, I'm thinking, well, my dirty shame. But for them, it was something, really watch. So let me pull this up. Yeah. I'm like multitasking with all of my devices. Bottom of the screen, there's, again, you'll see that on your iPad. So there's the little TV that shows you everyone that's live and you follow, or the same way on Twitter, tweet it in your profile or in your news feed. If someone show up in your news feed as well. But here on the map, there's literally a globe, and it pulls up all over the world to show you. So in the New York area, there are 57 people. We're one of the 57. All over the country, we have some. You see Africa. You can see the parts of the world where it's, but then it still pops up. So, Fiscal, 38 near Mumbai, and that's the whole point. So I always tell people, share your broadcast, so that you can be on this map, because if no one knows that you're there, you're just talking kind of into space, but in many ways you could be. And the whole point is that you're sharing, and you want to make it easy to find you, and and be part of that. So we have those. The next piece that I'm going to show you is something to do that. If you're in a broadcast and you're watching, I also want to encourage your viewers to do this when they're with you. And for everybody on, if I haven't done, usually I always encourage everyone once they get in my broadcast to, one, follow me. The way that you do that, when you're watching a broadcast, you can go in. There's a little man, you got the little man in the bottom corner where the hearts come from. You can do a couple things. You can do screen pops up at the bottom. I'm going to turn my volume off. Let's see if we can do a broadcast so I can show you guys literally how we're going to do it. Or actually, you know what? I can pull up a little bit of Inception. Like a scope of me watching. Like a scope. But that's what's kind of cool about. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so right now, let's just walk you through what it looks like and what all of these things that are happening mean. Is the number of people that are currently in the broadcast. And what I think is that it's a little, I don't want to say that I get too married to that number, because what happens into your broadcast, you realize you may have had 1,000 people in there. So John, if it only says 2 or 3, you shouldn't keep going. It's kind of a running number. You really won't know until who's in there. So I tell people, don't get too close in the room or not in the room. So again, just to read about the hearts, I'm like, hey everybody. So, again, everyone that's commenting, the heart to the color of their name. So we're going to do a couple of things and show you how you follow. So there we go. So when I tap that, pops up my title. You see where I am on the map. Gives you the option to hide the chat if you don't want that there, but just share. So then across the bottom, it gives you all of to share the broadcast. And if you're watching someone, do it. And while you're live, you can share this as well, whether you're a viewer or a broadcaster. You share with all of your followers. You can share it specific. You can also share in books. So like this, I'll literally do it now. So when you share on Twitter, their option is because the two are so integrated now, you know, Periscope is part of Twitter and easy to share with this platform. You can go in and delete all of this and make you want to comment on the broadcast, or you can just do, and it literally shares it with the title. And same thing. So, and then it shows here that people, you know, you'll see when people share the notification. So again, these are just some of the things to kind of get out of the way so you can do the business of using the app and using it for yourself. I have found that since it's so new and so many people at such a steady pace, that they'll jump on a broadcast, hey, what does this mean? What's going on? And I realized when I first joined a year ago, many of us like did a lot of scopes on how to use it. It's kind of old hat for us. And I realized we don't talk about it as much and we knows what's going on. And there's so many of you, I'm sure, that are like, well, what the heck are hearts? What is all this stuff? You know, the other thing that I want to show you too that you can do while you're on is you can follow someone in broadcast. If you're watching, say if you're watching my broadcast and somebody follow me, all you have to do is, again, I can't follow myself, I'm following myself. But when you tap the option to follow if you're not, and then comment of someone that you don't know, you can say, quote, Chloe Dorky Diva, I'm gonna go to her. I can do one of three things. I can reply to her. You can also keep comments the same way you would do on Twitter, and it'll go automatically to them. So I can view her profile, or if they are being another word for people that are using really negative, abuse, really bad language, or just being really crazy, you can block them as well. So I'm gonna view her profile. And again, this is all happening while the broadcast is. So you can see her name, you can see Tifonia, she has 48,000, she has 705 followers, following 267 people, and I'm not following. I can follow her in the midst of that. So it just, what's great about Periscope is that while you're using it, while all these things are going on, your viewers can have an interactive experience as well. So these are some of the things I'm gonna close out of there. Yeah, absolutely.
I could only your personal stuff happening right now. You were just doing
Well, if you were watching me, oh yeah, you can only see me, yeah. So when you're doing it, it'll only be visible to you.
Okay.
Exactly. So if that's the example of it, but when you're following those things, like the viewers don't see it. It's literally just what's popping up for you. As a broadcaster, I don't try to get too caught up in trying to while I'm broadcasting because there's so much going on trying to follow the comments and all of those things. So you'll start to find a flow of what works for you in that once we get a little later. But these are some of just getting you rolling, understanding what's happening. A lot of people will jump in and say, hey, follow me, or you know how to follow. So this is that info. So we've gone through cards, how to follow, how to share, all that good stuff. So then I want to talk about is equipment. These are the things that are very important when you're doing a broadcast. Heard when many of us first started, we were just sitting there holding it, and it's like everybody's being super shaky on like bad baby shower or wedding videos because it was just, you know, super. Notice that I would go in certain people's broadcasts and it was just, this is so nice, what are they doing? And I realized many tripods. So now the boom of the tripods I use is the Archon mount here. And what's great about it, it's flexible, pops in your bag, and you can take it with you at home so that when I'm sitting and I'm broadcasting, people, you know, aren't really watching the phone go all over. You really just sit down and chat. Now, when I'm walking and doing things like that, of course, it's in my hand. But for things like this, if you're speaking, I just covered a fashion show for Fashion Week, Periscope correspondent, and I was at the end of the runway. It made it really easy to use my just a holding stand in my hand because if I was holding it with my arm, I'm gonna get tired. So what it really does is make experience for your viewer because the best experience that you can give viewers means more subscribers, means experience overall. And I'll give you guys the information. I have a discount code for you. It's actually a mount from Archon, and I can offer that. The next piece that you will need, this will be your friend. It doesn't have to be this one of portable charger because I'll say this, how many people are on Snapchat? And you know if you do like 10 snaps, your Periscope and basically any live streaming platform is pretty much the same way. Like scopes and your phone is dead. And I used to do the small individual charge down and get the brick. This is a RAV power, charge your device I think up to 6 or 7 times. Do multiple charges and it's made such a big difference because there would be but I'd be like, oh, my phone's gonna die, or I would scope and then I'm dead and it's a whole thing, so. Okay, we're good. All right, so there's that basics. So you definitely need an external charger. Another thing that's really helpful if you're, two things if I'm out. If I'm covering something really specific to have good sound, I tested this out for the time over the weekend, is a lavalier mic. And this plugs right onto your clothing. And it really, it blocks outside noise. I also use just the headphones on my phone a lot, but sometimes that's not really as conducive if you're at an event. In the neighborhood, I usually pop in, but say you want to show something where you're out and it's really cool, this helps sound, and you can just pop it right on. It pops into your phone. And also not expensive, because I like the idea that Periscope and live streaming period gives you the ability to show your world without having to invest in cameras and and lights and all of these. You really just need your cell phone and about 20 gadgets, if that, and you're good to go. So this is about staying on Amazon, and I'll give you that info. Yeah, and then a backup device. Like I usually have an iPad or something backup because from time to time, like I said, the phone dies, your charger. You can also stream from your iPad. Works really, really well. So it's just nice to have one or two devices that you can have. So we've got